Oh, nice. There's a lake though. A trail runner walks into a bar, Seward Ale House to be precise. I pull up a stool, sit down to watch USA versus Belgium in the World Cup. Didn't go so well for us. It's always amazing how the trail running world is such a small place. Who pulls up right next to me? Carol, who is on the board of the Mount Marathon race or some such official capacity, followed by Matthias, who is the race director for Mount Marathon. What are the odds here? Well, I guess if you're from Seward or Alaska, maybe the odds aren't so long of just seeing people you know around all the time. Specifically trail runners, probably more likely. Matthias and Carol did recommend this Lost Lake route to me. I'm on the Primrose Trail now, on the way to Lost Lake, heading from north to south, which is the route they recommended, and I believe they also direct, or not sure if they do it, but there's a pretty popular race, Lost Lake race over here. Not sure when that one is. This is by far the smoothest terrain that I've run on so far in Alaska. I'm sure you've checked out my recent 005 videos and my latest Offtrail Ultra video, which was kind of unplanned. I wanted to get those off-trail clips in and decided to make a separate video out of it since it was so amazing. That was last night actually, around 10 p.m. So today I am running this North Face Offtrail Ultra, most decidedly on trail. Although there's a fair bit of climbing here, not as much as what I did this week going up Mount Marathon, a couple times in Bear Mountain, closer to town. I just startled a hiker there. She apologized for being so startled actually because I did call out, but I think I have to make a point of calling out a little bit more in advance than is usual because there's other things that could probably sneak up on you around here. Coming back to the shoe, runnability is certainly an aspect that I've been very impressed by, even in that crazy rugged mountain terrain of earlier this week, and now even on this smooth, definitely runnable stuff here. By the way, the Offtrail Ultra has not been officially released yet. If you Google around, you may be able to find it on certain websites, find certain content on it, but the official release is slated for August. I don't have an exact date for you yet. I will put that in the description, of course, and also pin a comment as usual as soon as I find out. That being said, this is not going to be a full review on this shoe. Just highlight a few key features that I've noticed over the course of this week in Alaska, and probably some natural comparisons to the Norda 055, because those are the two shoes that I brought along with me this week. These two models from Norda and the North Face have very similar qualities actually. Perhaps I'll save a little bit of a roundup for the end here, but very close. You got energetic foams underfoot, solid outsoles. You've got kind of fit lock, strappy type midfoot hold, and of course, nice solid high collar ankle gaiter combos. As a little bit of a spoiler, I will say that this North Face shoe, Offtrail Ultra, has done a really good job of matching the higher priced Norda and even surpassing it in a few different areas. Fortuitous camera sequence there. I did not know that bridge and clearing was around the corner, but things work out when you're having fun. Let me go ahead and throw some specs at you here to get us started. I've got a US 10 EU44 here. Typical sizing for me in the North Face, although I'll talk about that in detail later on. I've got an even 10 ounces, 284 grams. That is 10.0 ounces here. If you're looking at perhaps models for off-trail style of running, that number's gonna jump out at you, especially if you watch my 055 videos. 11.8 ounces on that one. Quite a bit heavier. Midsole, North Face is calling Dreambound. It's a dual density midsole, supercritical nitrogen infused TPU as usual, but there is no plate and or plates, as is sometimes the case for the North Face, and also no stiffening elements in here. The two densities of foam are kind of molded together. I don't know what you want to call it, fused together, some kind of way where the firmer layer wraps along the sides and on the bottom kind of evenly, and you have that softer layer centered under the middle of the foot from front to back. North Face lists the stack at 29.23 for a 6 mil drop. I haven't measured these exactly yet. Kind of had a log jam back home before we left. Very nice stack here, very comfortable, and with those deep lugs, really protective. The lugs really add that element of protection that perhaps you don't have, being that it's not a max stack shoe. You're just getting it in a different way here. Ground platform is another interesting aspect with the Offtrail Ultra. It is wider than I thought it would be, and not in a bad way. Actually, I had to go and double check my measurements, even lay them down side by side next to the 055, and I was really surprised that it's actually a touch wider, forefoot, midfoot, and under the heel with this Offtrail Ultra here. It just feels like a narrower shoe. The upper feels narrower, the shoe feels slimmer, the impression on the run, and that naturally led me to kind of believe that the platform's also thinner on the ground, but it's actually wider. So that's quite impressive to give that stable of a ground platform that wide without having it feel that way. Very unique and interesting, I think, here. Wow, gorgeous forest here. Oh, it's amazing. It looks like they have ground out this trail all along the way here. Been noticing these bags throughout. Gravelly stuff. I wonder if they're gonna surface this entire trail. I don't know. I think that might be unfortunate to have this be just a gravel path. Maybe there's erosion concerns. I don't know. But I'm happy for now to be getting on it as it is. I think I'm working my way up to one of the high points here. First big climb out of the Primrose campground. Very gradual here. Nothing like those two routes, or 2 or 3 or so routes I was doing closer in town. Catch me breathing a little heavier in this one because I told my wife and daughter I'd be on the other side. This is a one-way trip, by the way. Told them I'd be there in 2 hours. Been steady climbing all the way since I started, though. Not sure if I want to make that, but if it is as runnable on the backside, I'll probably get down there real quick. Oh yeah, here's a bit of that gravelly stuff. Perhaps you're just going to mix in certain eroded areas. Yeah, this is a steep section based on my watch profile. Certainly going to help with a lot of the mud. Lake back there somewhere. No, not quite. Still got a little bit to go. Wow. I mean, how long you got to stick around and watch this video? They just keep it rolling the rest of the way. I think I got about 9 or 10 miles to go. I don't think you would mind, would you? My goodness. These are not different angles on the same lake, by the way. Hey man, how's it going?
Thank you. How are you?
Good. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a scenic interlude here. Can't bring myself to keep blabbing on about shoes as I'm passing through here right now. This is just stunning and the most beautiful day, clearest that is, since we've been here in Alaska. I'll put a timestamp down below if you're just here for listening to me talk. You could skip ahead of this part, but trust me, I don't think you should skip this. This is amazing. It might inspire you to come on out to Alaska. Oh my gosh, look at that color. Plenty of trails zigzagging around closer to the water. Wow. Paradise for hikers and campers and trail runners out here. All right, so that was the little dip there before the last little climb, and then should be a fast descent, I hope, down to the end there. Talk about the lugs here. 5 mil surface control, new compound here from the North Face. Should be more durable, should be grippier than previous formulations. One thing I would definitely say is do not let the look of this outsole deter you from thinking that it is actually a trail running shoe. It does look like something of a cross between trail running upper and midsole and something more like a work boot or approach shoe type of outsole. These are chunky lugs here, very thick and very wide, especially along the edges. These are just not your everyday trail running chevrons. They definitely have some bite to them in muddy terrain, and also talked about earlier, adding a level of protection just due to the thickness of them, due to the coverage, even the width of those outer lugs. You're not gonna catch many rocks finding their way in between those actual lugs. But coming back to how they feel on the run, these shoes, this outsole does not feel like a work boot. It does not feel like an approach shoe. I'm not sure which physical retailers the shoe will be available in, but I would urge you, if you get a chance to try these on, I will bet, take a look at that outsole before you put them on your feet. Maybe get an idea in your mind of what it's gonna feel like, and then put them on. Come back here and comment and let me know what you think, because it is a drastically, it's kind of like a disconnect between what you're seeing underfoot from the bottom side of the shoe to how they feel when you slip them on, and certainly how they feel on the run. I'm finding them just fascinatingly runnable, and fascinating is not a word that I often use describing shoes, but I think it makes sense here because of how well they handle off-trail terrain. like how well they did up on Mount Marathon, which was just last night, and beyond, climbing up that little valley there. And also at the same time, how well they handle runnable terrain, how smooth they feel. Normally you get like one or the other. Very fascinating here. I'm gonna cut away here to a fit and sizing segment. Again, I'm not sure when these are gonna start popping up in retailers, when you'll be able to order them online. I wanna make sure you know which size is gonna work for you. There are some slight differences between the way these run and how I typically size my North Face model, so stay tuned for that. I've got this last little rise here, and I'm gonna have to boogie down to the end as quick as I can. Don't want them waiting up for me. Bye bye, Alaska mountains. Nope, here they are again. Ooh. Quick check on fit and sizing here. I've got a US 10 across the board, EU 44 in all North Face models, including this Infinite 3 back here. I don't think this shoe is a direct replacement, even though this shoe has been discontinued. It's not exactly the same kind of thing. This one has the Vective elements, the Outsole Ride, similar rolling feel of most of the rest of the North Face shoes, where this one is really the outlier. I think that is the case in terms of fit as well. So these are both US 10s. In the North Face, I typically size up by a half to US 10 for my true to size 9.5. I always have about a full thumb's width, and I find that works for the North Face shoes because they have that Vective rocker both in the rear and I think most importantly in the front of the shoe. You can probably see it prominently here in the Infinite 3 as well. Just really rolls up a lot of front rocker at the front of the toe box here. That kind of brings your toes into position where they're kind of raised off the ground, and they are supported there too due to the structure of, in this case, a carbon fiber plate, in this shoe, plastic plate here. There is a slight tapered shoe here. I think it's more prominent in this Sky model, but the other North Face shoes also do have similar sort of shaped taper up front here. So I've talked about this in my other North Face roundup. You have a little bit of taper and then the rocker pushing the toes up. You really want to make sure to have that full thumbs width, because that shape and that kind of upsweep is going to push your toes together as you roll into your toe off there. So as you're squeezing up there, especially when you're getting to the end of your toe off, you want to make sure you're still not touching the front. So that's why half size up has worked perfectly for me in the North Face, especially given some of the best midfoot hold across a model lineup of any brand on the market. I have no problems feeling just great around the midfoot with nice space across the ball of the foot, top of the ball of the foot, and again, half size up to ensure that I'm not bumping up against the front. Coming to the Offtrail Ultra here, again at a 10, this one doesn't have any Vective plate in the mix. It has a toe sweep, has a similar kind of rocker, but I don't think it's as prominent as some of the rockers, especially up front. Definitely not in the rear. It definitely has kind of a flatter feel under the wheel. Not flat, but more stable type of feel. You don't have that kind of rolling rocker that, especially like the Endurance 4, that's another one. They kind of have that rolling shape to them. This one has a more solid planted feel, which works on off-trail terrain. Coming to the sizing here, it feels like it spreads out a little flatter, especially under the ball of my foot and the front of the toe box here. Whereas this one, I could feel the shoe with the plate holding up the shape of the front rocker. I could kind of feel it under the bottom of my toes here in a way where this kind of tends to spread out flat on impact. So I still have my full thumbs width here, and it has been extremely comfortable. I did this run that you saw today, Lost Lake. That was about a little short of 15 miles, solid amount of climbing up and down. We're to go Mount Marathon in this shoe. Another run up on the glacier. I like the comfortably spacious US 10 here, but this is the one North Face shoe that I could see going true to size 9.5. And certainly if you're looking at this as like a technical scrambling shoe, potentially shorter distances, like really rough and rugged, like up on rocky ridge line type of stuff, you might want to have a tighter squeeze in these, and I think it will be less of an issue. I'm wearing these new smart wool socks. They just got in today. Finally got some new. I have to get rid of my holy ones now, so happy to have these. These are a little bit cushioned, and they work perfectly in the US 10. Really kind of locks in the heel area with this type of sock with a padded cushion in the heel. But I think I could definitely go to a US 9.5 in this model. Be a little closer to the front, but it would be less of a problem because there's no structured vective plate in there holding up the front. So it's flatter when I'm landing and pushing off on the ground, so I get less of that squeeze towards the front. It does seem to be a little bit more squared off at the very front here. Like if you can see, especially in the Sky model, does seem to kind of taper a little closer in the point of the toe box here, whereas this one maintains a bit of squareness. You can kind of see it in the overlay here. Infinite 3, you can probably tell it's probably also a little bit, it's hard to tell with the differences in the toe caps here, but it does seem to be a little bit narrower here, whereas this one is more square up front. You can even see the toe cap here, the rubber outsole part, it's a little bit squarish. So sizing wise, if you're in your North Face sizing and you are borderline spacious, I would say, you might want to consider going down a half size from whatever you typically wear in North Face if you want to run that in, like, say, faster, shorter, technical terrain where you want to be as squeezed as possible. You don't mind perhaps a little bit closer up front, in front of the toes for those shorter distances. Maybe you could deal with it for those kind of shorter distances, wear a thinner sock if necessary. Again here, US 10, kind of a medium thickness sock here, but I could go 9.5, and I don't think, even with this Sky 2 with the full thumbs, I could probably go to a 9.5, but again, with that roll, with that taper up front, I'm very happy with my 10 here. I don't think I would want to, whereas it would be kind of nice to have this one in a 9.5, tighter squeezy foot, thinner socks for, you know, some of the trails that you saw me running in out or up in Alaska. Thanks for checking this one out again. I am back home in Boise. As soon as I got home, I did notice that the North Face Offtrail Ultra did pop up on REI's website, so I have a link down below in the description. If you're interested in this shoe, I may earn some small commission from affiliate links like that. I have them in the descriptions of all my videos. Purchasing through those links does help support Humble Running, so I would appreciate it if you're interested and are a consumer from REI. That is a great site, a great company where you could easily try on these models, and their return policy is pretty good. Again, I'm talking about sizing here. You want to make sure you have the right fit depending on what you're doing in this shoe. Shorter, faster, more rocky, scrambly, mountain ridge running, maybe you go to that true to size 9.5, or if you want that kind of, it is called the Offtrail Ultra. If you want that ultra style fit, I love the 10. I ran this 10 all around in Alaska, and it's been great for me. I like the comfort fit, so it'd be kind of cool if I would have a model for each scenario. But if I wanted to go more all around, I would go with my normal North Face sizing, US 10 here. So I will hold my Norda 055 comparisons, maybe perhaps for a different comparison video. I was talking with Brett over at Conversational Pace. We have a joint 055 review, or at least I'm a guest on Conversational Pace for his 055 review. So this was one of the shoes that I suggested as a comp. So we did discuss that a little bit. So tune into that one over at Conversational Pace. See me on there, a little bit of a guest appearance. That was kind of fun. Hopefully more Norda joint review stuff in the future. Who knows? Check it out. Anyway, thank you for watching again. Back in Boise, I am heading up to the Sawtooths this weekend for some more mountain running. Stay tuned in to find out which shoes I'll pick for those mountain adventures here in Idaho. Thank you for watching again. I'll see you out on the trails.